All right, welcome to the BHHcast. Jamie Bendel, Adam Haig, Jamie Hernan. Figured I'd swap it up there a little bit about the order. You didn't like it that way?
Did not.
Yeah,
Jamie
I don't like
Bendel,
how Adam was introduced.
Jamie
Well, I liked it
Hernan.
Well,
after.
yeah, no, that's good. That's
I like
perfect.
being the last stage, but yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely need to introduce me.
I don't know. Why?
Here we go again. Like
All right,
honestly,
I
the sheep
had
get this. Look at all the sheep
distressing-
rolling their eyes.
I had distressing news this week.
What's that?
Erin Gray, actress,
Yes.
turned 71.
Oh. Wow.
71.
Were you fine with 70, but it was 71 that really was distressing?
I was just not familiar with the age generally. But for those of you that don't know the name Erin Gray,
You should.
she was Buck Rogers.
Yep. Wilma.
Wilma
Wasn't it Wilma?
in a movie?
No, that was her name.
Oh, in Buck Rogers?
Yeah, that was her character's
No idea.
name.
Never
Twiggy,
watched.
Twiggy, Twiggy, itty bitty bitty. And Wilma was Erin Gray.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay,
White
so what I was getting
jumpsuit
to is
with the rainbow on the shoulder.
See, I
No
really did
nurse.
not kind of get into the Erin Gray lane until
Silver Spoons?
Silver Spoons.
Yep. Yep.
All right, just a little like behind the scenes stuff for our sheep. We did talk to a consultant. And we're like, how do we get more relevant for today? And they said, look, Buck Rogers, Silver Spoons, Erin Gray, throw some of that content in there.
That's
We're
really how you
we're
bring in
putting it
the
context,
kids.
But here's why. Because I was putting that in the context of one of our guests later. Part of the reason why he's notable is because of a professional relationship that he has with a supermodel,
Erin Gray?
Heidi Klum.
Oh. Wow.
Yes, right.
So my connection was to say somebody who at one time in my life I would make a point to watch on television because
Erin Gray was on.
Erin Gray was on television.
It will be distressing when
same way
Heidi
that's,
Klum is 71.
There are people, yeah.
For all
yeah.
I know, Heidi Klum could be 71 right now.
She is not 71. Erin Gray is, unfortunately. I bet Erin Gray, yeah, okay.
I'm starting to feel my age.
We're getting up there.
I'm not going to tell you. My old man knees, my spindle legs.
I hate to tell you the
Christy
ages of the Golden
Brinkley,
Girls.
Christy Brinkley, Elle McPherson, and, yeah, Erin Gray.
Yeah, I'm starting to be that guy
Yeah, look at us.
who has people who I thought, these people will never age.
Never aged.
Not only have they aged, they've aged into ages
Yeah.
that make me feel aged.
Betty White, 98.
Yeah,
Betty's always been a little older,
She's
though.
she has been 98 for 73 years.
God bless her.
God love her.
Yeah. She's pulling off the young old lady, and then she became an old lady, which was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you this question.
Hit me.
And this is getting totally off topic.
Okay, let's go right there.
Do you think your wife will ever have an old lady haircut?
What is it?
Speaking of Betty White,
Yeah. Oh, like a perm?
like old lady perm.
No, never.
I don't know.
That's so funny
I
to
think
think
it
about,
happens
though.
to every old lady. So I'm gonna ask the question: have you contemplated your spouse with old lady perm?
Have you? You've contemplated your
Clearly,
spouse?
I'm asking the question. So yes, I have thought about it.
Yeah.
I'm now asking you.
I have not.
Okay, so
I
think
feel like
about
this
it
needs
now.
to be turned around on you because
No,
there's
no.
some deep philosophical things.
I'm
here.
asking everybody right now, within the sound of my voice, consider your spouse with old lady perm. Unless
Ugh.
you already have a spouse with an old lady perm.
Yeah.
She would
By
be
the way, she
beautiful
looks
as
beautiful.
always.
Okay.
Okay. That's never going to happen. But ooh,
Oh, it's happening
no.
because it happens to everybody.
It's not happened to Christy Brinkley.
It
Hasn't
will.
happened to Elle McPherson.
Not yet old lady.
Hasn't happened to Erin Gray.
I'm not saying. I will tell you that sometime between now and when her life unfortunately ends, even the great Christy Brinkley is going to have old lady perm.
It would be great if
Nope.
old lady
It's
hair
true.
could happen prematurely. Like, you get premature balding, someone in their 20s, but you have a woman in her 20s or 30s. She like wakes up one day. She's like, am I starting to get old lady hair?
The perm's
yeah.
coming in.
Yeah.
Okay. You just laugh now.
Okay.
Laugh now.
Okay.
Tell us the context of you thinking of your wife
I
with
think
old
it's,
lady hair.
No, but what I like is that some fathers when they're like, Dad, how do I the trick to find out if the younger girl was going to be attractive when they're older, Dad, You say, look at her mother, right? Is her mother pretty? Well, I like that you're already into the look at your wife now. Think about what she'll look like with old lady hair. Like, you've already judged your wife's old lady hair modeling.
It would be funny if someone did that assessment, that they look at the mom and they're like, oh, the mom is really attractive. And they later find out she's a stepmom.
Oh, not the mom. Yeah, not the biological mother, but
right.
yeah.
Dang it.
No, but that's basic to
God
me.
bless.
If you unfortunately base a potential companion on the attractiveness of who you believe to be their mom, it's kind of like a car wrap, right? You get this shape, but there's something else lurking, I think. Yeah. But anyway, contemplate old lady perm.
Old lady hair. Got
now,
it.
because here's the other bad part about that. Someday you too will be old man.
Very soon.
Yeah. So you turn into old man is coming for all of us. So you will be married to grandma perm when you yourself are old man. So you're not current you with old lady perm.
What would be so cute?
The way you tell whether or not old man has crept in, pick something up off the floor without making a sound.
Oh, I'm all into my noises I'm making now. I'm conscious. I'm hearing the noises. I'm relishing the noises. I'm a noisemaker.
I do try to enhance them sometimes just to bother my kids.
Oof. Yeah. You've earned the right to make noises. Make noises. Adam.
Yes.
Has grandpa cough.
Old man
Right?
cough.
You got the decrepit hack.
Got the black lung.
Yeah, he's been doing that for 60 years. Right?
They used to call it like semen cough.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's what they called it. The cough of the sea.
Sailor cough.
The cough of the sailor.
Yes, thank you.
Shipman's cough. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's going in the promo. So upcoming, we've got a couple good guests.
Yeah, you distracted me from the whole introduction of the Heidi Klum concept. But
I'm sorry. Yes.
But yeah, so I was saying there was a time Aaron Gray looked amazing,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And it was much must-watch TV.
Yes.
For some people now, much to Jamie's chagrin, there are people who tune in to see Heidi Klum. Our guest had a relationship that he developed with somebody who is a supermodel.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
For somebody else, I'm going to watch the show because of this person.
I'm telling you. Yeah. Let's find out.
All right.
And I would say that Erin Gray is probably still quite lovely.
Of course.
I'm sure she is.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's Taylor Williamson.
Yeah,
He's going to be on the
looking
show a little bit later on. He's going to be talking about things probably unrelated. I don't know that we'll even bring up this when we talk to him.
Yeah.
But we will definitely not bring up the cough of the sea.
No, I wouldn't bring up the semen
Not
cough.
bring off
No.
the cough.
No, that's inappropriate. Anyhow,
We're never going to be able to get off that topic.
we're
No.
never going to talk about this again. Sheep, gather around. It's going to be good.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, Jamie.
I have got some great news.
Do tell.
Oh, I need great news right now. Hit me.
Have you ever had a friend that you just need them to stop contacting you, get out of your life altogether?
I have.
This is getting awkward.
I've actually sometimes thought I was that friend.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. If you go to amithatfriend.com,
Am I
you
that friend?
can find out, are you that guy?
I was just thinking maybe I was that guy, and I didn't say anything when you were asking that question. So it was because it was awkward. Now I can go find out.
You can find out if you go to
AmIthatGuy.com? Am I that
AmIthatGuy.com.
AmIthatGuy.com? That's a hard one.
You can go to that site and fill out a survey. It's 200 questions, and it will do a psychological profile, and it will tell you if you are that guy.
Is there a shorter version of the questionnaire?
You can also pay half price and get the 100-question survey. That's half correct.
I'm in. I could be that guy. I may not be that guy. I didn't fill out the complete survey.
It'll give you a 50% probability factor.
So, welcome back to the BHHcast. Jamie Bendel, Jamie Hernan, Adam Haig. We are joined by our special guest this episode.
Ring the dinner bell because the sheep need to come around. This is going to be a fun one.
Jake Cook is our Special guest this evening. Jake, what's going on?
I didn't know I was a special guest.
You
I
are
had no idea I was so special.
Special guest, baby. Yeah. It's
Well, the special guest is a guy you're trying to get into Scientology. Once
right.
they actually sign up, they're no longer special.
That's
They're
right.
just part of the C organization.
Do you know any Scientologists?
You know, I wish I did. I knew a guy back in Memphis where I lived. The guy I grew up with, we call him Stumpy. His name's Brian York. He's the nicest guy in the world. And we call him Stumpy for whatever reason. He was introduced to me as Stumpy, so I wasn't going to argue. He told me that he got recruited by the Church of Scientology, so we started hanging out with some Scientologists. Then it got kind of weird, and he tried to distance himself. He said they wouldn't leave him alone, that it was truly kind of like a cult, and they had kind of gotten a hook in him a little bit, like they knew where he lived, they knew where he hung out, and he would get followed around by Scientologists for the better part of a year.
You'd wonder how the branch does for like local celebrity Scientologist.
See, that's not what I wondered. I wondered if a guy named Stumpy had both hands.
I feel like you should follow up
Yeah.
when you're introduced to Stumpy.
Yeah, like which part? How did that come along?
So hang on, I disagree. I think whatever someone is introduced as a nickname, you assume that they earn the nickname for a reason.
Yeah, but then I'd be looking at his like arms and be like, "Where's the stump?"
No, but he didn't. He would have. I think Jake would have disclosed that if he said, "I met a guy." It turns out he had some limb issue, and then his nickname was Stumpy.
I'm sorry, guys. I was going clear. I missed all of that.
Well played. Well played, Jake. Bringing it back. All right. So question number one that we ask of all of our guests is, what does it say on your business card?
On my business card, I don't have a business card right now because I'm largely unemployed. It used to say producer, just a general term producer, because that's all I did. I worked in radio for years and years. But if I did say make a business card, it would say something like, Jake Cook, alpha male, or just something general. Just to, I can do whatever for you. I can edit video. I can host a radio show. I can frame out maybe a non-load bearing wall. I can demolish a bathroom if you need.
Adam can demolish a bathroom, but he
Not
doesn't
in the
advertise
same
it.
way. Not in the same way.
It's a different way
All right,
he's talking
but
about.
so Jake, I do want to talk to you about so we've been in pandemic time for some time period. You've actually released a number of pandemic related, I don't know, how would you classify the musical content that you've been creating during the pandemic? Does that fall into the category of parody? What's the way to characterize that?
It's odd. It's definitely parody. I've been doing all these songs, with the quarantine sitting around, people, they're bored, obviously, and they just want to relate.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing these songs for a radio show in Atlanta with some buddies, and they got kind of passed around. And there's a prep service for radio stations that they can't get enough of them. So I was like, okay, if you want me to write parody songs about a global pandemic where there's almost 400,000 people have died from it, I'll go ahead and do it. I'm fine. You're going to pay me money to pretend I'm Weird Al, and you want a lot of these songs to be about quarantining and vaccines and pandemics and working from home. I can do it. I didn't know it was such fertile ground for parody songs, but yes, it's odd. This pandemic is one of those things that if we're smart, we will see how it brings us all together and how we can relate to one another rather than, rip us apart like so much other stuff does.
What's interesting about them is that I don't think that in the writing of them, you really have catered to like a lowest common denominator. They're well written and they're not necessarily obvious songs. So they're familiar.
Sure.
Right. But it's not, so I get what you're saying. It's an odd subject matter, right, to be doing where there's obviously loss and contagion and negative impact.
Oh yeah, when the coronavirus came out, everybody was saying, "Hey, Weird Al needs to do My Corona." Haha, wouldn't that be funny? And I'm just like, that's just too easy.
Right.
That's just low hanging fruit. You're going to have 15 or 20 people doing that.
Right.
It would be worse if you had been doing pandemic songs for like 15 years.
Right. Yeah, that would definitely be a blow to the brand. It's like, hey, I'm the pandemic guy. I was doing pandemic songs before there was. All right.
SARS. I own the song.
I own SARS. Right.
Ebola.
And
you should have
SARS.
seen all over the West Indies. This
Now,
Ebola song blew up.
in SARS.
I did do an Ebola song. I did actually
Okay.
multiple Ebola songs back during the Ebola scare. I've done at least 30 of these things.
You need to do a parody, a virus pandemic parody song cover band called "E-Bowling for Soup."
Yes, I would not do that. But I like the idea. I would never do that.
I reached. All right, so I did have another question, and it's not something that you and I had talked about. So part of what we do here, Jake, so that you know, is we don't do a lot of guest prep between hosts. So if you brought the guest to the show, we don't really tell each other much about the guest coming into it.
Sure.
But your background, in part, has also been in the talk format as well.
Yes, talk radio. I've been a talk radio program director, a talk radio show host. I've been a producer for talk radio shows, sports talk. I mean, any kind of radio, really. But I actually do love the talk radio format as an art, not so much as a format.
Help somebody who doesn't know anything about it with the things that we've been seeing in the news today, and we're recording this roughly around the time of the inauguration in January. How would somebody like yourself put a show together? What are you looking at? Is it guest oriented? Is it talking point oriented? Is it which callers are getting through to get on the air? What does that process look like?
Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of show you're doing. I mean, now more than ever, we are so fragmented and I guess compartmentalized. Like you've got conservative talk shows mostly, and then you've got other shows that are more, I've got either sports talk or I've got a more, comedy focused show or a general talk kind of deal. You got to figure out what kind of show you're doing and what audience you're serving. So if I'm filling in, and I do a lot of fill-in work now from home, kind of being in between radio gigs, because right now the radio industry is kind of shattered.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see all these, different companies who are just laying people off and they're syndicating all these shows in different markets. So I do fill-in work. So I have to consider, who's the audience? What kind of show am I filling in for? So I've been filling in for a guy up on WIBC in Indianapolis, and he does a just straightforward conservative talk show. So I have to take in consideration that audience. So what do they expect when they turn on the radio?
Mm-hmm.
So I might tackle those topics from my perspective, obviously, but just knowing who your audience is. So it just might be on how I deliver those same topics. And usually it's universal. Everybody's going to expect to hear about what happened last Wednesday. Mm-hmm. They're going to want to hear about, the inauguration coming up. They want to hear about Donald. No, they don't just want, they expect to hear about Donald Trump being kicked off the Twitter machine. So pretty much all the content, all the topics are set for you this day and age, at least, because no longer are the talk show hosts and the programmers driving the discussion. It's all being done by, mainstream media, the news cycle, Twitter, what's trending. So you just have to take those subjects and those topics, and then you have to figure out how you are going to spin those. You put them through your filter.
Sure.
So, I mean, I would, if I am encouraging anybody who's doing radio or any content, whether it's a podcast like you guys do or any kind of broadcast media, it's essentially all the subjects are already out there. They're already predetermined what's going on in the world. You're not breaking news.
Right.
You are just you're putting it through a filter. And so what is the filter? So people say, hey, I know this is going on in the world. I want to hear what insert host. Rush Limbaugh has been really the biggest name for the past 30 years, mm-hmm. has been Rush Limbaugh. So people know what's going on by noon Eastern time. They want to know what Rush is going to say about it. And that's the goal.
But so, okay, so let me ask you about that, because I would argue that, like in comedy or in music, nobody wants to be derivative, right? And it feels like, to a certain extent, and I know you, I've listened to your show. You and I have talked, obviously, prior to this conversation. There are people who get like the fill-in gig for the Rush show, and I feel like it's 3 hours of the world's worst Rush Limbaugh impression.
Well, that's by design. The good talk show host doesn't want a good guy filling in for him, and I've been told that, and I've experienced that before with talk show hosts with whom I've worked. Talk show hosts are the most insecure people who you will ever meet in your life.
So don't you take a little bit of offense to it if they ask you to fill in?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, you might say, oh yeah, okay, I get this game. It depends on who it is. Usually the big names, the guys with a lot of cachet in the business, or at least the guys who think they're big. If you know somebody and they ask you to fill in, that's one thing.
Sure.
Usually, if you get asked to fill in for Rush, there's a reason you get asked to fill in.
Do they ask you to do a British accent?
No, they never asked me to do a British.
I'm teasing.
Accent is
It
terrible.
sounds like whoever that guy is who fills in for
Mark
him.
Stein. You're referring to the great Mark Stein,
Yeah.
and I think Mark Stein's funny, but there's a reason why Mark Stein doesn't have his own radio.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, any of these guys, and I don't mean to belittle him. They do a fine job filling in, but usually the big names don't have the heir apparent filling in for them.
Okay.
Nobody wants to be upstaged.
They want to look good. They want to look good by comparison. That's actually my podcasting host choice. That's the way I pick my co-host for the podcast. It's just
right.
give me two scrubs that I can look incredible in comparison to.
All right, that's
if you want to look thin, hang out with fat people.
That's exactly what I'm doing on this podcast. You've called me out.
Bam. Because I'm a truth teller, like all talk shows, right?
We're truth tellers. We're truth tellers over here.
Yeah.
All right, so if you had to predict when Limbaugh is gone from the landscape,
Oof.
What happens?
That's a big vacuum. It's a big vacuum. Well, Limbaugh is on the network. Well, where there's a lot of other guys. There's Glenn Beck on that network. Sean Hannity is also on that network, I believe. And so they're going to have to do some shuffling, or they might have to identify, you know, who the guy is. They might pull from, you know, one of these podcast guys who, you know, the Ben Shapiro's of the world, who have gone out and built their own audiences. I mean, what's difficult about that is that it's a different ball game right now. Media is so different. I mean, the guys who do well on terrestrial radio are the guys that started on terrestrial radio when it was the only thing. And so now you've got so many other voices that can put out podcasts whenever they want. You know, and then we started seeing this with Adam Carolla's show.
Sure.
Because Adam Carolla was the guy, he took over for Stern on K-Rock and out in New York.
Right.
And it didn't really work out because you're the guy following Howard Stern, right? But then he just didn't like putting up with all the structure. And now Adam Carolla can go do whatever he wants,
right? Whenever
he wants. He doesn't have to be on a certain schedule. Why would he go subject himself to the FCC or a program director to tell him what to say? So it's going to be interesting to see how that all pans out. You know, a lot of guys have tried to do that 12-3 slot against Rush Limbaugh.
Right.
And it is just, there's nobody. I mean, they put Mike Huckabee in there. They put Geraldo Rivera in there. I mean, they've just tried everything. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of, who fills the hole at noon to 3 when Rush decides to hang it up.
Ivanka and Jared.
That would be a terrible radio show. But you know what? I can't, they're going to try some dumb
stuff. They
will
try something. Yeah, it could be the Don Jr. show.
They're going to try something, and you know what? It's not going to work. It's going to be a while before somebody gets in there. You know, it's kind of like, Jeopardy right now.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't take that gig. I would not be the guy after Trebek.
Well, I've seen Ken Jennings. He's on the Game Show Network on some little show, and he's not a really great host. I mean, I think that this is a temporary deal. Like, you don't want to be the guy to follow the guy, but at least with Ken Jennings, he's got some connection to the show. And if people can say, okay, I understand this, but you're right. I wouldn't want to be the guy to follow the guy.
No, never be the guy that follows the guy.
You want to be the guy who follows the guy who follows the guy.
I want to be like third guy.
Third guy, fourth guy.
Yeah.
Fourth guy's incredible, especially if the third guy fails.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bam.
All right, so let's approach the second bracket of questions. And you're familiar with the concept of the Meat and 3 restaurant?
What?
Yep.
Meat and 3, like just a country. Hey, you get some chicken fried steak and you get 3 sides.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Okay,
I love that.
All right.
By the way, yeah, chicken fried chicken, which sounds redundant. And I want some collard greens, and I want some mac and cheese, and I want some roasted broccoli.
Bang!
All right.
There we go.
That was well prepped.
That was a real question?
No,
that was a quality order.
That was a good answer.
He's going to explain the meat and 3 question now.
Although I'm wondering, are there any meat and 3s that have roasted broccoli?
No,
Yeah.
I think there are.
I think they have
there are.
buttered
It's
broccoli,
usually steamed.
creamed
It's
broccoli,
usually-
broccoli
usually
casserole.
steamed.
You might get the corn if you had. If you could do corn instead there, if you needed to. But
Oh,
I
no,
think it's a
they
solid
are-
order.
I don't think there's anything health conscious that any of the meat.
No,
and
they're
threes.
steamed.
They'll do a steamed vegetable medley. That's what they'll
Yeah.
do.
At the
Deadly.
meat and three in Berkeley.
No, it's a regular. First of all, don't be Johnny dismissive of the meat and three. You need to get a little more meat and three in your life.
No, I clearly eat
Yeah.
the meat and three.
Yeah, you clearly do.
Yeah.
Big boy.
I just, I'm saying I've never seen the roasted broccoli.
Yeah, no, I haven't either, but I love it. So if it's on the menu, I'm taking it. I'll take
Hypothetical
steamed broccoli.
question.
It's fine.
Okay.
Do you know what I? You know what I? And I will say
The
this
meat and three
because
question, though.
we've been married. No, but this is pertinent to the conversation.
Okay.
I've been married now for 20 years.
It's a long time.
Whoa.
Congratulations.
Right? Yeah. My wife always gets as one of her sides Brunswick stew.
Mm.
I'm with her on that.
It makes me question our marriage every time.
Because it's
I am
soup.
like, who is this person? Yeah. It doesn't matter when it is. It doesn't seem like it's a 4-season side.
It's actually a bonus meat, to be honest.
Is it though?
Because
No, it's terrible ordering.
No, it contains extra meat. It's
No.
a meat and a
See,
half.
that's interesting.
And plus
Your
2.
wife raised in Georgia.
Absolutely.
Jamie raised in Georgia. Like
Mhm.
they have a thing with Brunswick stew here that's
not me.
unnatural.
I'm like, who are you?
Yeah, give me some.
Man, I
slaw,
missed
give
it.
me some.
Dude, I missed the Brunswick stew. I moved away from Georgia for about 5 years. I went back to my hometown in Memphis, and that's all barbecue. It's all pulled pork. There is no Brunswick stew, and none that you want to eat in Memphis. But like, I remember when I lived here in Atlanta before I moved back, I was going to the Pig and Chick like twice a week just for the Brunswick stew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got some of the best I've ever had.
Yeah.
We're working on trying to get some sponsors. Could we record you saying 10 different restaurants
Pig
there,
and
just
Chick, yeah.
depending on which one buys in?
Yeah.
I'm into it. Hey, Grindhouse Killer Burgers.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I own property right down the street.
I'm you know what I think it is? I'm suspicious of soft meat. I just
Soft
don't
meat?
Stewed meat.
stewed, soft, mushy.
Oh, here we
meat.
go again.
Love
You
it.
and your
Love it.
diet.
You don't like
things.
pot roast?
He doesn't.
No.
Is something wrong with you?
Nope.
You're not from Georgia. You're from the north.
I
You're
am.
weird.
Oh,
And we-
I'm sorry. We should have clam chowder and
No,
the lobster
don't-
roll.
No. I'm just saying. There's something about soft meats that
I recall you telling me the
doesn't
day
appeal to me.
you don't do prime rib. You
Yeah.
don't do that
Right.
that mousse, chocolate mousse.
Right.
You don't do a lot
It's
of
texture.
desserts
It's-
because you weren't
it's
raised
food
on. I mean, like
texture.
you and your foods, it's
Mm.
painful.
Well, your wife clearly loves the soft meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
Hey now. All right. So let's finish with the way that
Meat and
question
three.
is supposed to be asked. Meat and 3. In
Sure.
the analogy of life, what is the organizing principle around? What's your North Star? What is the meat in your life?
The meat of my life.
Yeah.
Wow. That has to. The meat of my life has to be creating. Whatever it is, I've got to be creating something. Where I feel totally worthless unless I am making something. Whether it's one of my parody songs that we talked about, or if I create a piece of music, because I actually do regular music that's not joke music too, or something. I got a workshop now. I can spread out. Make something out of something or improve something to create. And then as a sidebar to that, not part of the 3.
No.
Not
Okay, not
part
part
of
of
the
the 3.
Okay, still
Not part of
still-
3, but
still-
like it's
like
creating.
gravy.
And,
We're talking about gravy on the meat now.
Sure, yeah, it's creating and sharing. And I take this, I lift this directly from Bill Hicks. All right, one of the great comedians, the great Bill Hicks, up there with George Carlin and the comedian philosophers of our time. He says that's why we're here, and I totally connected with that. I read his book Love All the People, which is a compilation of pretty much all Bill Hicks stand up and all his writing and everything. It's we're here to create and share. And if you make money doing that, great. If not, it's still you did something, you made a mark. Because when we're gone, you got to ask yourself, like, what did I do? What did I leave here? And all the things I've ever created and shared have fallen way short of where I wanted them to be. But still, I got something. I've recorded albums, I've got recordings, I've got I've got things that I've made, that I've built, and I'm very proud of them.
Mhm.
So creating and sharing is the meat.
That's a great.
That's
meat.
it.
That's a great meat.
Yeah, I think it's the meat of an artist, right? An artist wants to create and share.
Creation.
Yeah. So it's a good meat.
All right. So
Go
now
do something. Make something.
Now our 3 is, what are the 3 attributes that you would like people to most closely associate with you?
Oh, well, I mean, no, I'm not going to use it. The creativity is it, but I mean that'll be a side of the same thing. So let's just go. That's
kind of like
in
the
my
Brunswick stew of
the
meats.
Brunswick stew.
Yeah, it's all a stew. I love making people laugh. You know, I want people to think I'm a funny guy. You know, and good natured. You know, fun to be around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to be. There was a time in my life where I was thought of as a pretty giant a-hole, and there were reasons for that, but more so now. You know, as I'm crossing 40, you know, I'm 42 years old, and I think it's really important that people either remember me or know me as. I'm not writing my own epitaph here. I'm only 42. Goddamn.
Right.
So, but no, I mean that I was a funny guy, that pretty sharp. I do, you know, kind of like being well read and being able to talk about a lot of different things intelligently, or at least semi-intelligently. So yeah, funny, smart, and driven. I mean, I'm very, you know, affable dude, but at the same time, I want people to know that I can be serious,
mm-hmm.
and that when it's nut cutting time, I can put aside all the, you know, starving artist kind of notions and get to work and get serious about stuff. So, you know, I'm a little bit of a conundrum wrapped in a riddle in that respect. You know, I know that there are certain people who know me as a really fun-loving dude, and then there are other people who at least maybe knew me at a different time, that they just know me as a cutthroat a-hole. So, and the thing is that I'm not mad at it. I'm fine with people thinking all of those things about me.
I think there's a direct correlation between someone who knows what the phrase nut cutting means and someone who knows what a meat and 3 restaurant is.
I think that's probably right.
Nut cutting,
yeah, you know, listen, I'm
less used than it should be.
Yeah,
right.
Well, look, I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, which is kind of like that you know, weird combination of southern city where you can go to a horse farm, but you can also end up in downtown Memphis where it's really urban. So, you know, kind of like I grew up against the backdrop of a juxtaposition of urban and rural. And so, yeah, you hear guys say weird phrases over in Arkansas, and you take them right over the bridge into Memphis, where you're playing in punk bands and whatnot. So it's a little bit of everything. And I think that's really, you know, what it comes down to is, you know, so many people, they'll just be comfortable where they are.
All right. So last one, Jake.
Sure, let's go.
Last one. This is my favorite one to ask everybody.
7 inches limp.
Oh,
hey,
bam,
boom! So you're getting a cup of Brunswick stew, not just a.
Hold on, I'm adjusting the age rating for the podcast. We're good, and all right, go.
Hey, we said it anyway.
All right. We like to ask everybody, what is a dad brag that you would have? Just where a moment where we could clear the floor and you could just brag on something you're proud about the kids.
Oh, wait, no. Oh, to brag about my kids or brag about how badass a dad I am?
No, on the kids.
No, it's really got to be the kids.
It's kid focused.
Everything else has been about you.
You know what? I think you should say what kind of a badass dad you are.
I've
got two girls. They're ages 9 and 7. And Jamie can probably relate. You got what, 3?
3.
You have 3 girls?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've done hair, you've done ponytails, you've braided hair.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten really good at that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I'm good. Like today, for instance, my main task that I took on, because I didn't want to go outside a whole lot because it was cold, but I went to Walmart and I bought some of this string. It's kind of like yarn, but it's not. I don't know. Kids make friendship bracelets out of it.
Yeah.
No. This is completely different from the hair thing. My kid comes up to me the other day and she got this brand new sweater for Christmas from her grandmother, and it got a hole in it. And she's like, Dad, my sweater's got a hole in it. I was like, well, give it to me. And so I take it into my workshop, to my workbench, and I just leave it there. So it's like sitting with my Dremel tool and my drills and stuff. There's like a pink sweater on my, so it's just out of place. Well, I went to the Walmart today, and I got some of that string. I couldn't be thread and it couldn't be yarn. It had to be like that string that kids make friendship bracelets out of.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I got a big ass needle, a big ass eye in it, and I sat there and mended that sweater, sewed it all up, stitched it all up, made it look good. And when that kid got home, I said, "Hey, I got something for you." And I showed her that her sweater no longer had a hole in it. And she thought that I was just the greatest father that a kid could have because I sewed up a hole in her sweater, which is the same as like fixing a kid's toy car. You know, just because it's a girl and it's a pink sweater, you know, it doesn't mean it's any different than me, you know, fixing my kid's bike.
Right.
You know, so yeah, they think I hung the moon. That said, they're the best kids in the world. I've got the smartest little kids. They're reading way above grade level. I got one of them who's playing piano like she's, you know, Johann Sebastian Bach or a Dave B. Southern. She's playing piano like crazy. You know, she's recently taken up basketball. They're good little soccer players. They're just well-rounded kids. And here's the thing: my kids are easy to be around, and that for that I'm grateful because I've been around a lot of other people's kids, and I can't say the same thing. But everybody that I've ever been around has agreed that my kids are easy to be around. Like they're not little a-holes.
If people were trying to find you, how would they find you on social media or the web?
Oh, a Nation of Jake, wherever you go. I'll be, you know, being snarky on the Twitter machine there at Nation of Jake or on the Facebook at Nation of Jake. If you Google me, you can check out some of my old radio shows. My YouTube channel is Nation of Jake. So, yeah, it's pretty well branded all across the old webs. And
I will say, you know, to the extent even here, a little bit self-deprecating, the reality is Jake is actually really very good at what he does. So if you are driving around and you turn on what is a show that you've always liked and you hear Jake's filling in for somebody, take the time to check it out.
I appreciate that, Jamie.
All right, buddy.
All right, man.
All right.
You guys take it easy. Bye.
Crushed it on his way out the door.
Boom.
Jake Cook. All right. So that was Jake Cook joining us there. Nation of Jake. Interesting background. Check out the parody stuff. Also, his fill-in work, actually musician, like he said. I liked his answers. Creativity.
Yep. Yeah. That's a great answer.
Worked out well.
Gives him it's the artist vibe. It says he wants to make something.
A different take on the dad brag.
Well, and honest to God, please give some consideration to the children you are raising, because there are a lot of you out there who are failing at the task of having good kids to be around. Your kids are not as good as you think they are.
Not the flock. The flock is
no.
The lambs of the flock.
There are
wonderful.
There are some baby sheep that are miserable to be around, and I'm gonna say
honestly, you don't. Yeah, look at those little sheep. Look how cute they are.
No, not cute.
Some of them are just adorable.
No, miserable.
You've never seen a miserable lamb.
I have seen some brutal children. Listen,
but back to your point.
I'm not saying
it is a good policy of don't raise assholes, because honestly, you look around. There's plenty of assholes already here. We don't need to add any more to the group.
Yeah, so listen. When you are
no, I meant assholes here, like in this room. Like there's plenty of assholes right here. We don't need to add two more.
I'm loving the idea of Adam's parenting course that lasts 30 seconds. Everyone gets down. You're like, "Hey, I'm Adam. You know, let's get started, everyone." And then it's
don't be an asshole.
And
thanks, we're out.
We're out. I appreciate it. We'll validate your parking. It's probably 30 free minutes.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about it.
Good night, kids. Everybody good? Just don't be an asshole, right? Yeah.
If you think about yourself as a child, if you wouldn't want to hang out with your own kid,
no, that's
you're doing
exactly
it
right.
wrong.
That is actually my North Star. It's interesting. With my boys, I take a little bit different approach than I do with my girls. But with my boys, my parenting philosophy has always been, would I want to be best friends with them if I was their age? Right? If I was their age, would I want to be their best friend? Because these guys are awesome. And that's my boys are kids that I would want to be best friends with if I was their age. My daughter, it's a little different for me. I don't want the world to touch her, or don't ever want to hurt her feelings. I want to build bubbles around her and make sure that she can always protected and never cries. So I'm not good as far as a daddy's girl, because I am kind of
Girl dad, you're struggling with the girl dad phenomenon?
Well, I think Abby has a lot of control over her dad, so yeah. And you'll probably hear from another, if she has her way, she'll be on the podcast.
One of these days.
We need to have her on the podcast,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Yeah. She would
So with that,
sheep dismissed. Head over the hills. Bye.
listen for the Taka Taka. We'll be back.
Jamie, when you go into a bar, what are you drinking?
I am drinking water on the rocks.
Well, I gotta tell you, water on the rocks, not the way to go.
Really?
Yep, I found this new bourbon. It's like craft bourbon.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, it's called Obnoxious Guy in Our Neighborhood is Now Making Bourbon.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have heard of that.
It tastes kind of crappy, to be honest with you. It tastes a lot like rubbing alcohol that's brown.
Yeah, and it's something that you just can't say no to, right?
Yeah, you really can't because you're going to hurt his feelings, and his wife's friends with your wife. So it's the craft bourbon from the guy in your street. And by the way, they're a huge sponsor of our show.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's one of the best bourbons out there. And, a lot of people go high end with their bourbon. I say get it from the guy down the street.
You heard it here, folks.
Bourbon down the street.
All right, sheep, gather round. Flock it up. Taka Taka. The special guest for this episode is comedian Taylor Williamson.
Ring the dinger bell.
Yay.
Come over, sheep.
Ding,
We got
ding,
a good
ding,
one.
Ding, 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 ding. Comic guest Taylor Williamson.
Welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Hey, so what's it
so-
like to have to sleep in hotel rooms? No, I'm kidding. I do have a question though about the repetitiveness of questions. How do you address that in your life? How many times do you think you've been asked the same question in an interview?
Well, like doing press, is
Yeah.
that what you mean? Like,
Yeah.
well, I was on America's Got Talent, as I'm so excited to tell you. But with these, you know how it goes. As a comic, you go to the local comedy club, and then you do the radio they set up, and it's not their fault. They didn't watch the show. They don't know who you are. They don't care. But their job is to try to help you sell tickets or whatever. And so they just look at your Wikipedia, which for me is not as long as Tom Cruise's. I would guess. I haven't checked them next to each other, but so there's only so many things to hit. Then they would look at Google News and they look at all the janky articles that people wrote. So I get asked the same things over and over. You want to hear a good story, everyone?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a good story. You can tell me. I got the San Diego Union Tribune, the newspaper out there. They wouldn't do an article on me. I would hit them up trying to get press because that show is on. You want to get votes, and they were like, "We don't cover comedy." And I'm like, "I'm representing San Diego on the biggest show on TV, and you have the American Idol person on the front cover. I can't get like a blurb." And then after the show was done, they finally called me, wanted to do an article, but I was like, "I don't care." Like I was overwhelmed, and I was like, "I don't need this. I don't care." So they called my crazy mom, who I love, but she's cuckoo bananas, and she did the interview on my behalf, and she misconstrued a story that we had, and she told them I was going to quit comedy if I didn't get on America's Got Talent.
Wow.
And so the title was the real story was I said I'm going to get a job. I'm going to have to get a real job if I don't get on the show. So the title of the story was How America Almost Lost the Talent. So I would travel, and it's just my mom quoting saying, "Yeah, he was going to quit comedy if he didn't get on the show," which is so crazy. And so every single, and I was on the road every week at that point. So every local interview I did, they would trigger me and my issues with my mother,
Have you
and they would
resolved
say,
those issues with your mother?
"No, everything's worse," but
We have her on next, so
Bring in his mom.
No.
before you
Don't
go
do that
to the
to me.
interview or you go to the club and you get the interview at the radio show, do you ever adjust your own Wikipedia page just to
Yeah, that'd be good.
correct
Just to
it?
kind of like give them, but just before you do press, you should try and get your, just throw something in there.
That's really funny. I don't know. I've gone in to try to edit it, and I've not been able to. I don't know how they do that. Do you know how they do that? Have you ever changed a Wikipedia page?
I haven't ever tried.
I think you
I've
get,
tried it.
yeah. I don't know how it works actually.
I know
Not
you're
all
people
of
were able
us
to
here have a Wikipedia page. yet.
Well, listen, I didn't set it up. Somebody made it for me. I got a janky one. I'll take it.
Yeah,
Janky Wikipedia.
that sounds like a hit song.
Janky Wikipedia.
Yeah, it's like it's the you're just a notch in my bedpost and you have janky Wikipedia.
Oh, hang on.
Get out of
Why
here.
did you guys break up, dude? She had janky
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
her Wikipedia was
Wikipedia
shit, bro.
was wicked janky.
Yeah.
What's the complaint that like you would? Did you ever go to press with comedians?
I go all the time.
What's something that what's like the comment thing? You're like, are you kidding me? They brought up this. Like, is there something that you see a lot?
No, so it's not uncommon that the comedians want to push something that's, I think, too distant in the future. So they'll say, oh, I've got a movie coming out. You know, right now we're recording this in January. They'll say, oh, I've got a movie coming out in November.
Right. Or
And
next year.
That's not pertinent to the person who's
Right.
driving to radio this morning. And I do think that it's a little bit of an endorsement of, oh, are they funny enough to go out on date night tonight, right?
Right.
So it is a little bit of an interesting thing. All right, so here we got a couple of questions that we ask all of our guests. We're going to ask them now of Taylor Williamson. Taylor, what does it say on your business card?
Is this a real question or like a joke answer? What are you looking
No.
for?
No,
Real
real
question.
thing. Yeah, if you had a business card, if you don't have one, what would it say? But if you do have a business card, what does it say?
I had one like 15 years ago, and somebody sent me a picture of it, and I was so embarrassed. I did like this. What did it say? I did something like I had one of my clips on like AOL, and I had one of my clips on like Sprint CPS. Like it was like before smartphones, they had like a streaming service of videos, and they had like stand-up clips. So my business card said that, and I had a picture of me and my phone number, and it had as seen on Sprint PCS and AOL keyword comedy or something. And
If you had not been on America's Got Talent, we all heard that you were going to quit comedy. What would your business card have said then?
maybe I don't know. I was just telling somebody how if I didn't have, I was watching one of these MAGA douchebags, and I was like, maybe if I didn't have comedy, maybe I'd be one of them. Like have like an angry person who doesn't have like a thing, so he joins the thing.
Yeah, just find your thing, find your group, and take over a Capitol building. See what happens.
I don't think that you're wrong in the assessment that people who like performing in front of crowds often become demagogues. Right? Like that's kind of a natural thing to be like, I like talking to people. I like when I'm doing most of the talking.
Yeah.
I have a couple of key phrases that I can repeat, and I can sell merch.
Right.
Like your comic skills would totally translate to
I think that's how Mussolini
Dangerous Mob.
moved up. Yeah. Mussolini was first like an entertainer, and then he,
You guys
just got used to it and decided to move all the way up.
You guys are flattering me so much. I meant I was gonna be one of those incels, but you took it as I'm gonna be the leader of a cult.
Yeah, sure.
Aim high, Taylor. Aim high.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Imagine if your business card said demagogue.
Yeah, I mean, demagogues are about as
Demagogue.
big as cars you get.
You know what the back of my business card said? Can you guess? You know what it said already.
I don't.
It said, check out vistaprint.com. I didn't pay the extra money to not have that on the back.
So you got 250 business cards, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I have 248 of them left. All right, so Taylor, next question that we ask of all of our guests. Are you familiar with the concept of a meat and three restaurant?
No.
This is the part in the show where Jamie brings up a meat and three and makes the guests feel uncomfortable because no one ever knows what it is, but Jamie was sure when he came up with this concept that everyone knew what a meat and three is.
All
But
right.
this is and we're about to enter the part of the show where Jamie then explains what a meat and three is.
And then everybody
Jamie,
says, oh, yeah, that place.
Go.
A meat and three restaurant is a restaurant, often cafeteria style, where you select a meat and then you get three side dishes with it.
Oh, that's what I guessed it was, if that counts.
Mm-hmm. It does
All right.
count.
Okay.
Put that on your business
Yeah,
card.
you could add that to the business card.
Add that to the business card. Okay, so what we want is, what is the meat? What is the entree part of your life? What is the principle, the theory, the philosophy that organizes your life? We discount family, my wife. We want the. I want the guts. I want the meat of it.
I was trying to answer this in my head while you were explaining it. My first answer was Beyond Burger, but then you kept explaining it, and then I realized that doesn't work anymore.
No,
The meat and
it
three. Yeah. So if you like, what is if you were to have the main course of your life, what would be?
they were to make that movie Soul
Yeah.
about
You.
Taylor
I watched
Williamson.
that.
Yeah. What would it be?
What is your?
What's your kind of, your North Star?
Mhm.
Good Lord, you guys! My cousin, I'm kind of obsessed with that. Like, what is your thing? Like, people's thing. What's their thing? You know? And like, not obsessed, but I'm really into it, and I can identify. I really believe sincerely that people who join these like cults and stuff, like they don't have a thing, so they want to be a part of something. And I was talking to my cousin about it. I'm answering the longest version of this. I'm doing like the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire thing, where they don't just say the answer, like they tell a 5-hour story
Mhm.
No, that's good.
about
That's
all the. But I said to her that comedy is my thing, but then she's like, that's not what soul is about. She says I'm wrong. Like that little hole that's missing, you have to fill it up. Like that's not your thing. So I don't know how to answer this. You tell me yours, and I'll
I
do
don't.
it.
I would
comedy.
disagree with that. It could be comedy.
It's what your
But it's
passion
not.
is.
I don't think it is authenticity, connection, about making people happy. I think maybe.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's
That's an
it.
amazing meat right there.
That's a good
Authenticity and connection with people to make them happy. That's an awesome meat.
All right, we're going to make this that much more challenging for you, Taylor, because the second part of the question is, what are your three? What are the attributes that you would like people to most closely identify with you when they talk about you?
Abs.
Abs?
Okay. Abs.
Yeah, sure.
That's a
Everyone's
good
got that one.
Everyone has abs, by the way. Did you know that?
They're just really, for people like me, they're really hidden.
Well, you're not brag. You don't have to brag about them.
Oh, yeah. Everybody
possess
has
them.
abs. Yeah.
All right, so
first
abs.
off, abs is one of yours. Yeah. When people think about you, you want them to say
Two more to go.
abs.
That's kind of the mac and cheese of physical attributes.
Yeah, sure.
Everybody's got it.
Imagine the interviews you're going to have now with the
Yeah.
Radio shows. It's
Mhm.
all going to be about your abs.
Talk about your abs, Taylor.
You're going to have to show your abs
Dude.
to every radio crew.
You're going to be like the situation. You're always lifting up your shirt.
Listen, I'm so lonely and desperate right now. I did you notice how fast I returned your text to be on this podcast? I didn't know that I just said yes. I didn't know what it was, and I was like, yeah, I would.
What? You didn't know the podcast? Well, we'll have you we'll have you as a member of the flock before this thing's over.
Flock it up, Taylor.
Wait, am I a bird or a sheep?
You're a sheep.
But a sheep gather in a
A flock of sheep?
herd.
The podcast. All right, so
But listen,
You've gone from demagogue to sheep.
Okay.
Boy, that was a quick trip, Taylor.
It's a quick
This
trip.
was a quick trip.
Oh man.
What I would say, Taylor, with your other vegetables, so you have the three. So one of them, what do you want people to
Abs.
think of when they think about you? Number one vegetable, abs. But then what else do you want people to think of when they think of you?
Maybe like kind and authentic.
Okay, we're gonna take those as the two other sides, kind and authentic,
And
because we want to move. Yeah, kind, authentic,
abs.
abs.
So good.
I actually would say I'm gonna describe that sometimes when my abs are not feeling summer ready. I feel like I have kind abs.
Kind abs.
My abs
Yeah.
are kind.
Authentic.
And my abs are so authentic.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you ever meet a girl who's like, she's like, I don't like a guy who's like in shape. Like I like your body, and then it's like kind of it's like good, but it's also offensive. Also, you know.
Oh no, I get the other thing, Taylor, where they're like, I don't like guys who are comfortable. I like guys that are really obese. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, hold on a second. Like,
wait. They do. No, wait. Wait, hold on. I said I had a woman say to me, like, I like your belly.
Yeah,
But you're
like,
saying, they're saying I like a guy who's terribly morbidly obese.
yeah, and then they look at me like, oh, don't worry, I like guys that are as big as you. You're like, hold on. I thought I was obese, not
That's the
morbidly
moment-
obese.
that's the moment
That's a
that-
little harsh.
Yeah, I thought my abs were kind.
Yeah, I thought they were kind.
Yeah, I
Now
have my abs.
Oh,
are,
but I'm glad you do like the morbidly
Yeah.
obese.
They-
Thank God for that.
yeah, I feel like your abs are gregarious and welcoming.
They can describe your abs as sweet abs in two really different ways, like sweet abs or sweet abs.
Aren't
You want your abs
sweet.
to be you want them to be like a role model to people, you know? Like, be like my abs when you grow up. Like, be kind.
Yeah.
I feel like there's some branding you could do with the maybe like a cross. What do you call it? Like a spin-off podcast.
Yeah.
The ab. No, it's not as good. That's
The
not.
abcast.
In my head, it was good.
Abcast.
Abcast.
Not the barcast. This is the
abcast.
Maybe.
So
I
we
get
got
10%.
Same episode, lots of reps.
we
We're
have
gonna
a
ask-
third question too.
All right.
Before we
third
get to that, though, we're going to ask every future guest if they'll show us their abs.
Or just
Yeah,
describe
it's
them.
weird because
What
we're
would
on
be
the
the
phone,
adjective?
but yeah, we could do that.
What would be the adjective that would be most closely associated with your abs?
And the secret word is kind.
Kind.
As soon as someone says kind, they win.
They're a winner. I think my abs are honest.
I think they're authentic.
I think that my abs are very
Yeah.
empathetic.
Yeah, I like morbidly obese guys.
I like my abs. Yeah. Okay. We also do a little bit of a discussion because I'm convinced that it exists for everybody. We've talked about it on numerous episodes. It is a broken bit. This is a bit that you have done. You can't quite get to work the way you want it to. In what ways is what would be a broken bit that you have?
I haven't done an actual stand-up set in so long that like I know I have a few of those. Like I have jokes that used to work and don't work anymore. By the way, I love that like when you ask your questions on the show, you also explain to me like how your questions work. It's fun.
Well,
Um,
with the meet and three thing, it usually takes a pretty
so
long
listen,
explanation
We don't want, I don't.
because it doesn't really make sense. But we're gonna force it down our guests' throats anyhow.
Well, nor do I want to imply to be like, listen, you're a successful comedian, but not all the time.
When's that
No,
joke not work?
What's a joke that doesn't work?
Or what joke do you think
I
is
have
funny
so
that you
many-
just can't get the audience to think is funny?
I haven't done a real stand-up show since I was at the Punchline Atlanta last March. So I literally can't think of an answer sincerely, but I sincerely have several. You want me to look at my notes while we're talking?
Are there any jokes
mean,
that you've had for just years that you just have not been able to figure out how to work it into the set or get it to?
Or you've been like, "That's
Yeah.
funny. Why aren't you people laughing?" Like that's.
I have a bit that's inconsistent and it's really long, and when it works, I feel like I'm like next level. I'm at the I've achieved my next level as a comedian of
Okay.
like, wow, this is who I can become
oh,
and who I need to. And then the next set I do, people are like, "Oh, you're racist." I'm like, "Whoa."
oh wow! So it's actually you're either feast or famine with it. It's not a kind of a medium.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
and I'm a quick joke teller usually. That's kind of more my style. So this is like a 7-minute like story, which is not my style. And so I've not learned how you can't. It's you can't just bail like 2 minutes in and go, never mind. You know?
Right? Like you guys are
Like-
not going to get this, and we got 5 more minutes left.
But
I
I could-
actually think that that's the worst experience to have on stage when you get into a bit that is not working and you do not have sufficient off ramps.
Yeah,
in the joke.
or you have a long joke, a 7-minute builder that the audience is not buying, and you're like, "Well, we're the ship has sailed, people.
Visually,
We're going."
When you've ever been in a mountainous area
Yeah,
and you see those runaway truck runoffs,
yeah.
comics don't have those.
No,
We are no brakes.
no runaway truck.
we
ramps.
are careening into town.
Yeah. Sometimes-
Brakes on
And you-
fire.
Yeah, yeah. We're going.
The other rough thing that happens too that's dangerous. This is a little humble braggy, but I don't mean it as such. Is I was working it out in the belly room upstairs in the Comedy Store where you can just fuck around and nothing matters,
Mhm.
And after my set, I didn't know he was there watching me. I would not have done it if I knew he was. But Mark Maron came up to me, who I respect, and he came up to me. and he complimented my bit that I was so nervous about that I've been trying to figure out for, 12 years. Like every few months I bring it back, then I give up on it. And then he complimented it and gave me a tag for it. And I was like, oh, there is something. I'm doing the right, because it worked that night greatly.
Oh, that's good.
And then but then I bombed with it probably 40% of the time.
But that night it made it worth the commitment.
But now I can't go back,
Yeah.
And I'm actually a whole bit for you, but it's a true story about when I was 19, I got carjacked and kidnapped. Basically, the guys couldn't drive his stick shift, so they made me drive them to their destination. And the reason I did it, in all sincerity, is because I have there's like white guilt involved with it, of like how they end up in my car and stuff. Like it's like a funny story about me being a stupid, ignorant, not racist, but I was like dumb, but I have to identify them as black. Like I opened my door so they didn't think I was racist when they knocked on my window. It's like a whole thing, but like it's very uncomfortable for me to share, but I think it's a worthy story because it's kind of not about me and it's honest. I mean, it's about me a long time ago. And,
right.
But I feel my white guilt is still pretty powerful, and it's one of my greatest skills. And, I don't know, even right now, talking about the bit makes me uncomfortable,
It's probably because your audience that doesn't get it or doesn't go for it are just racist. So they don't understand. They don't understand the guilt part.
They're like, hold on a second. What's wrong with that, son?
What was the tag that Mark gave you?
So it's a whole routine. I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. Oh, so because I don't have a good ending for it. It kind of just trails off at the end. Like I kind of go, well, that was a good bit, right?
Yeah.
Like I still have to figure out the ending, but the 30-second version of what the story is. I was in my car. This guy knocked on my window, asking me if I need a bus schedule. And in normal person, I would just say no or roll my window down. But I didn't want him to think I was racist, so I opened my door, which is the weirdest thing you could do for a stranger asking a question. Then he pulled me out, and his buddy got in. They couldn't drive stick shift. They asked me to drive them where I need to go, or they would hurt me. And I drove them. They got out. They didn't steal anything. Cops didn't believe me. Whatever. So it's like a whole thing. But Mark suggested a very good idea. Is I should exaggerate, like create a fantasy ending for those guys going back to their friends. Hey, what'd you do last night? Oh, this kid, you're never gonna believe it. Like, well, how'd you get in the car? Did you shoot him? Did you stab him? No, he's just a pussy. Like whatever. He has to give me those examples, but he suggested I create a fictional narrative of what happened, like a post story.
I gotcha. The story,
which is a funny idea. If you guys want to write it for me, that'd be great.
Adam, our producer, just told me that we learned that your mother is not able to come on. However, we do have your carjackers.
Yep. Guys, come on in. How can we help this bit work out?
That would be a good ending. Yeah, 15 years later, I go on a podcast. And,
well, you do know, Taylor, that somewhere in America, one or more of those carjackers could have voted for you on America's Got Talent.
Interesting,
funny, yeah.
right?
Because they'd be like, "I carjacked that dude.
That's me.
We got that guy. That was the guy. Remember, none of us could drive stick.
What they're
he
really
drove
saying
us where we're supposed to go.
What they're really saying is, I was trying to give him a bus schedule, but he opened the door, and we were like, "Is this a carjacking?"
That was entrapment. I had no intention of carjacking this guy. He forced me into his own car.
I'm seeing some loser in a basement who carjacked people when he was young, but now he's amounted to nothing, right? And he's watching the TV in his basement. He's like, "Mom, Mom, he's talking about me." And she's like, "You did a carjacking?" She's like, he's like, "Well, he's talking about me."
It's not technically a carjacking,
Mom.
if you open the door.
And she's like, "Go out and get a job."
No, it's like, I'm sure.
Well, that's true.
It's kind of like
police report.
You filled out a police report?
The police came and they laughed at me and stuff. And I mean, if this was like smartphone age, I would have taken a picture of it. I would have saved it. I don't know. I didn't think of it back then. There's no way I saved it, which is so crazy to me because it's so interesting. But the police report said they asked me, like, they're like, did you feel obligated to give them a ride, or did they force you, or did you do it because you felt bad? Like, they literally asked me that. And the police report said, Do you want to guess
Misdemeanor
what
carpool.
He's like,
Do you want to guess what it said?
This is white guilt.
Yeah.
It said those are both good, very close. It said attempted GTA/kidnapping.
Oh,
All right.
interesting.
Attempted kidnapping.
Attempted kidnapping.
Yeah.
Attempted Grand Theft Auto / officially kidnapping.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Where you also qualified for commuter tax credits.
Oh yeah.
You could have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get yourself.
Too late. That's back when I made like negative $2,000 a year though. So I don't know.
Yeah,
How that works.
So
I remember
really,
then.
the bottom
Oh, yeah, this
line
week.
of the story. So hold on a second, Taylor. This story needs to be how you invented Uber and didn't realize it.
He really did. He really did.
I could be a billionaire right
You get in
now.
the car.
Or Taylor's like,
I
I'll
heard-
take you where you want to go,
Let's
but
see,
can we
these-
first cruise in the HOV lane for a
Right.
while? I haven't had two other people in the car in a while.
These random people got in my car.
And
They
I
couldn't
drove them where to
drive,
go.
and so they told me
So
where to
wait a
go.
minute.
I drove them. I
that could
actually
be-
invented
That
Uber.
could be a business.
What?
There's
That's
like-
very funny you say that because I've actually tried that exact tag and it has worked great once. Here's an example exactly what you're talking about. We're like, hey, you know that. But I got the good news is I got through the first Uber driver, and but it never worked ever again.
You were so polite, though. I think they would have given you 5 stars.
Dun, dun, dun.
If you guys can write this whole act for me, that'll be great.
We're on
And
it.
then
We're on the
We're on
case.
it. We're on it.
We're on the case.
All right. So Taylor, I appreciate you joining us. And
Well, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it.
been
We're
fun.
in. We're out. You know,
we got your 3 questions.
we make
We're
it
excited.
happen, and we go. We're kind of courteous of people's time. We're a
Said
bit
it all.
like
Listen.
we're a bit like voluntary carjackies.
Well, this has been really. You guys made me smile a lot today. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
It was awesome. We appreciate you on. And if people wanted to follow you in the real world, how would they do that?
I'm at Taylor Comedy on Instagram and Twitter, and Taylor Williamson on Facebook. And I started doing these like Zoom show things, and if you just follow me in those things, I'll let you know. I do a show once a month, and I hope to meet people listening one day. But now I don't want to touch it. Get away from me, you know.
Yeah, right.
Please take everything seriously, everybody. That's my positive message.
There we go. Good. It's been a lot of fun hanging out with you tonight. It was fun.
Yeah, it's a
we'll have to have
pleasure.
you back on. Yeah.
I'd be so down. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, buddy. It was good to hear your voice.